Hello, everyone. It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? My name is Lolly. This is my second channel. My original channel, my main channel is Lollipalooza, which you can see on the board behind me. So head over there if you want craft tutorials. So I have been asked by several people, friends and family, to give my story of what happened on our recent vacation. So my family had the opportunity to go to Greece. It's important to note that my husband went ahead because he was there on business. And then my daughter and I were going to go. In the middle of his trip, we were going to go to Athens, spend some time looking around, and then he was going to fly to Athens after his conference and join us. Okay. So we have everything lined up. I am an organizer. We made sure we had our passports for sure. And I had not only on my phone all the travel documents, but I had also printed them out as well. So that's important to note. So this really, it's like a comedy of errors that wasn't a comedy at the time, wasn't very funny at all. So we were going to fly out of Denver on Turkish Air to Istanbul, and then from Istanbul to Athens. So we get to the airport 3 hours early as suggested because it's an international flight. We do everything that we need to do. We get lined up. We got our passports ready to go. And when it comes time, we're standing in line, and you're getting warm. It was difficult figuring out the system at the airport because we fly through this airport often, and we are familiar with the system. But when you're flying an international air carrier like Turkish Air, it's a different game altogether. So we were standing quite a bit trying to board because it does take a while. My daughter started feeling lightheaded. My daughter is an adult. She started feeling lightheaded. And so I reminded her, take deep breaths, move your feet in line, keep your blood circulating. And she just kept not feeling well. And I started fanning on her a little bit, lifting her hair up her neck, fanning her. Now and then, if the line wasn't moving, she would sit on the floor and then get up again. Well, we got to, and this is important to note that this was a 8:30 p.m. flight, so it's late in the evening. We got up to where she was the very next person to scan her boarding pass. She had it in hand, and she said, "I'm going to pass out." I said, "Get to the floor immediately." Got her to the floor so that she wouldn't get injured on her way down. Soon as her knees hit that carpet, she did a face plant and passed out cold on the carpet right there in front of the boarding gate. I yelled for help. She rallied very quickly. She was still very pale, very lightheaded, and not feeling well at all. So they had to call a medic, and they just boarded everyone around us, got us off to the side, got her in a wheelchair. The medic came, did the usual questions, when did you eat? Are you diabetic? Could you be pregnant? Etc. And at some point too, she was very nauseated and hanging her head over a big trash can. So she started feeling better, but she was still just white as a sheet. And after all this, the plane was fully loaded. They said, "We have to make a decision right now. And that decision is you are not getting on this plane. This is an international flight. You have health problems in the air, in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing we can do. We can't risk it," which I agree seemed reasonable. It's getting late. It's pretty late by now. And I know this means we've just lost our international flight. I don't know what's going to happen. And I've never had this happen before. And I assumed they're going to get us on the next flight out when she'll be feeling better. Oh, no, contraire. So they end up saying, the airline employee, Turkish Air employee said and she points to the people, employees standing at the gate. They'll get you rescheduled on the next flight. So my daughter's still in the wheelchair. I'm standing at their desk and they're typing away at their computer, ignoring me. I thought they were working on finding a flight. They weren't. I finally said something and he said, well, that's not our job to get you on a flight. You have to call customer service. So first of all, this happens a lot at airports when they say, hey, not our job to help you, call customer service. Ever since the advent of cell phones, I think airlines are just, they're too busy, they're understaffed, and they're, it's on us. It's on us to take care of all these things. And again, the clock is ticking. It's getting late at night. I don't know what to do. So I called customer service. They gave me the number. I called customer service. And surprisingly, though, they said, we're going to get your luggage off the airplane. I was shocked because the plane had boarded, that they could actually pull our luggage off, but they did. So something went right. And again, it's getting late and later and later. I'm on the phone with customer service. My daughter's in the wheelchair looking pretty peaked. Customer service, well, English is a second language. They don't understand me. I don't understand them because of the accents and repeating things over and over and over again. And then the construction happened. We were at the end gate of all the gates in this line, right? And at night, the construction resumes for the gate across the hall, across the way. And it was loud. I'm talking metal against metal, power drills, dropping pipes. It was a cacophony of just echoing noise. And I'm trying to hear on the phone, and I'm already stressed and trying to figure out what's going on. And then while I'm talking to them, the transport person came to wheel my daughter down to the bag claim, over to the bag claim to get our bags back. And I'm concerned that our bags are there unattended. And what's going to happen to our bags? I'm concerned about, do I get a hotel? And I'm on the phone with customer service. And we use a travel agent to book our travel. And many will say, well, there's your problem right there. You should always book your travel yourself. But I know from time and time again that there are many, many issues that can come up in which the travel agent can step in and turn things around for you and give you advice. And my travel agent is very well traveled herself internationally. So when I called Turkish Air customer service, they said, well, we can't help you because you didn't book this ticket. We have to talk to your travel agent. I said, fine. So I hung up, called my travel agent, let her know, gave her the phone number, and then we got through the train system to get to baggage claim. All the time, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen with our bags when they go around the carousel without anyone there. Something went right in that there was actually a Turkish Air employee standing there guarding our bags. So thank you so much to that young man. We get our bags, and then everything resumed going wrong again at an alarming rate. So we got our bags. I get my travel agent calls me and says, they won't talk to me. They will only talk to you. Okay. By now, the wheelchair person has to drop us off somewhere. She drops us off at the exit by where cars come to pick you up after your trip. So we're there, and the doors are just zoom, 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 zoom. And, there's people, there's cars going by. It's loud, and there's really nowhere else close by quiet enough. My daughter's still, I got her in a chair. She's sitting there, still looking kind of pale. And now it's way past our bedtime. And I call customer service back, and I explain the situation again. My daughter, we were not allowed to board because she passed out. They wouldn't help me. We were told you would only help my travel agent. My travel agent called. You told her you wouldn't help her. You'd only help me. And they said, well, we can't help you. We can only help your travel agent. I said, but you wouldn't. Here's the thing. You wouldn't help her. Well, we can't help you. We can only help her. So it was this round and round of not getting anywhere. Well, I don't know. I need to get on a new flight, and I don't know. I don't know when that's going to be. Now, at Turkish Air, at the gate, they told me, this was on a Tuesday night, they said, we don't have any flights tomorrow. You're going to have to wait till Thursday. Well, if that's the case, I'm going back home. I'm not going to stay in Denver at a hotel for 2 nights. So I don't even know whether to go home, whether to get a hotel, or what to do. And I tried to call my husband. Greece was 9 hours ahead of Denver, and meaning my husband was in bed with his phone off because that's how he sleeps. So it's around 10 o'clock at night by now. And I actually got a hold of my husband's brother. So my brother-in-law, who's also very well international traveled, we talked things through, and he says, you need to get a hotel tonight. And there is a hotel attached to Denver International Airport. I thought, how convenient would that be? Scooch to the hotel. You're right there in case you get an early morning flight. And that hotel is $700 a night. Well, that's not going to work. So he was Googling, because he's on the computer while I'm just on my cell phone, and I'm talking to him on it. So I'm not on a computer. And by the way, I couldn't even find my earbuds. So I'm holding my phone the whole time I'm trying to handle all this. And I'm trying to sort through papers to read ticket numbers, to airlines. And I'm dropping things. It seems like nothing's going right. The more stressed you get, the more fumbly you get. So he recommended this one hotel and said they have a shuttle to their to their hotel. So I hung up from him. I called that hotel and got a hotel for the night. And they said the shuttle is out there, we'll be there like every half hour or whatever. So we get out there really quickly. We didn't want to miss it. I see the shuttle. We board the shuttle, give our suitcases, board the shuttle. He starts to leave when it hit me. This is not the right hotel shuttle. They both had the word garden in it or something like that. They both had a similar word. And I was so stressed. So we stopped the driver, get out, get our bags off, get on the correct shuttle, get to our hotel. And my travel agent called. Now, we had booked through the travel agent. She had booked a tour for us through Greece, through Gate 1 Travel. Gate 1, it's a lot of tours through various countries. And they're actually the ones who booked the airline through, as part of a package deal for the tour. So they could themselves rebook us on another flight for a fee. Well, I'm thinking a fee, we've already paid for our airline tickets. The fee, what's it going to be? $100 a person, whatever. I said, sure, you got to do it because we're stuck here. So then I'm trying to check into the hotel, and then Gate 1 needs to verify my credit card. So I'm on a 3-way call with travel agent, Gate 1, and me while I'm trying to check into the hotel. I do not like talking on a cell phone when I'm trying to check into a hotel or deal with another, person in a business, because it's just rude. I just kept saying, I'm so sorry. So we got up to the room. The fee was $700 a person. So $1,400 we had to pay for hotel, $1,400 to get on another set of flights. We are wiped. The flights are 11 a.m. tomorrow, so Wednesday. So there's nothing my daughter can do. She gets ready and goes to bed. I needed to get to the verification of all of our flights, try to download, check in, boarding passes and all of that. And now we're going to be not on Turkish Air, but United. I was relieved about that. I thought it might be easier for us to deal with all the issues that were arising. And so I don't have a printer. I do have my laptop. I don't have my printer. So I get on my laptop And immediately there's an issue with my daughter's boarding pass. I spent 45 minutes or more just trying to fix that issue. Couldn't fix it. And I thought, oh, great, we're going to have to try and get to the airport tomorrow early and fix it then if they can. So anyway, so I finally get to bed and fall asleep at 1 a.m.-ish. It was around 1, and woke up at 5 because 5 o'clock is always my time to wake up. So I had 4 hours of sleep. For those of you who know me well, I do not do well on 4 hours of sleep. I get 8 or 9 hours a night plus a nap during the day because that's how much rest my body needs. And so I wake up at 5. I start working on the boarding pass again. Still couldn't get it done. So we get up and realize, you know, we need to get going. We're just going to, based on the shuttles of the hotel, we have to get the 7 a.m. shuttle back to the airport. So we do that. Fortunately, United was able to fix her boarding pass, and we get through security, we get breakfast, we do everything we need to do. So this time we're going to fly to Chicago, and then we're going to get Chicago to straight to Athens. Okay, so everything seems like our troubles are over, no more issues. We scan our phone boarding pass. Oh, by the way, I said I needed to get my boarding passes off the computer. I mean, I made sure that they were in the app, and I also got screenshots of what I saw on, of the PDFs on the computer, and emailed those to myself as well. So I had a PDF of the horizontal or landscape boarding pass, and I had the phone app had my boarding passes there. So we scan our boarding passes. I'm really watching my daughter like a hawk, make sure she doesn't pass out. We don't even get out of our seats until it's time to board, instead of standing there. She's doing much better. Good, you know, she had better sleep than I did, although she is tired. And we get on the plane, and we get all situated, and we pull away from the gate, and we turn and start. We just go a little ways, not all the way to where we're going to take off, but the plane stops. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So the captain comes on and says, this is your captain speaking. And he says, there are severe thunderstorms in Chicago. No flights are allowed in. No flights are allowed out. Well, they knew that before they even pulled away from the gate. So I don't know why they even boarded the plane. Frankly, I don't get it. And I'm going to say this, that I don't get it because I'm not them and I don't do their job. And so I recognize that because I don't do their job and don't know all the rules, I don't know why this was allowed to happen. So not just being critical here. So he says, we're going to wait. So we sat on the plane on the tarmac about 45 minutes. And you know how it gets kind of hot on the plane at that point. And they passed water around and told everyone they can get up, use the bathroom. Then they said, okay, it's been so long, we have to go back to the gate now. So we turn around, we go toward the gate, but we don't have a gate because we weren't supposed to be at a gate. So then we have to wait another half hour or so on the plane. We've been on the plane for an hour and a half or so by now. And we're looking at our watches because we know we're going to miss our connecting flight to Athens. And anyway, we get to the gate. He says, okay, we're still waiting for the weather to clear. Do not leave the gate. Stay at the gate. So we deboard, and then what? You know, now we're starving because it's lunch. I send my daughter, I said, get some food, get anything, whatever you can get, and get back here right away. I'm going to try and get us new flights to Athens from Chicago. And now it's the same runaround with United that I got from Turkish Air. We can't help you. You didn't book the flight. We can only help your travel agent. Call the travel agent. They won't help us. They'll only help you. Call back. They won't help me. They'll only help her. Now that I am going to say right away, between the two airlines, that's just wrong. It's because it's their responsibility to help me, but they won't. They just don't want to. I'm getting really emotional at this time. I am utterly, utterly exhausted. I run low stress hormones, low cortisol. So there you go. So by now I'm able to get a hold of my husband. And then the travel aid and my brother-in-law again, and my travel agent friend called, and she said, Gate 1 said, yeah, it's every bit United's responsibility to get you on that plane. They just don't want to do it on a plane. And so basically, Gate 1 said United told them they can't do anything with my ticket, the second part of my travel, not to Chicago, but Chicago to Athens, unless I release that ticket to them. Once I release it, then Gate 1 can get me on a new flight. But then by now, I told my travel agent, if that means I'm paying for another flight, I'm going to turn around, go home, and cancel this entire trip and lose my tour money because I can't keep doing this. This is too much. And so then I talked to my husband. He said, don't you dare release that ticket. You go to Chicago. Get on that plane, go to Chicago, and do whatever it takes to get to Chicago. And you're going to miss that flight, but then United has to get you on another flight to Athens. So we waited it out. My daughter, she wasn't feeling great, but she wasn't going to pass out, And by the way, she was okay. What had happened before was that she had taken a Dramamine because she was nervous about getting air sickness, and she had done that, and she hadn't had enough water and all that standing. It was just a drug interaction, so she was okay. And they come on overhead at the gate still at Denver, saying, okay, we're going to, the air is cleared at Chicago, but now our flight crew has timed out. We have to find a new pilot and flight crew, all the flight attendants. As soon as we get them on their way here, we can start the ball rolling. So then they come back on. Okay, we've got new flight crew, and we have to clean the plane again. Even though it's the same plane, same passengers, same seats, they have to clean it all over again. So we waited and waited. So the flight was supposed to be 11. I think we finally boarded around 3 maybe. That part's a blur. And I see people scanning their phones, and so I go to get my boarding pass off on my phone. Of note, when you have your boarding pass in your United app, I don't know if it's the same thing with other airlines, I think it is. And once you scan that to board the plane, that boarding pass goes poof and is gone. So when I go to pull up my boarding pass, there is no boarding pass. And then I remembered that I had emailed myself this PDF from when I was on my computer at the hotel. So I pulled those up, and they were able to blow up the little barcode in that and scan it for me. So, phew. And so that was a lesson right there. Always have 2 versions of your boarding passes. The other lesson back from Turkish Air, and I believe this is with every airline, when you do not board that plane for any reason, whether it's your fault, a medical emergency or not, you are marked as a no-show and your entire trip is canceled. So we have also lost our trip home. I didn't realize that at the time. We had lost our trip home, in which we were flying home with my husband. So now we were going to be on different flights coming back home. So we finally got on the plane to Chicago. It lands, goes down without a hitch. Before I even got off the plane in Chicago, when I knew we were about 10 minutes from landing, that's when I started crying. My daughter said, what's wrong? And I said, I'm not ready to start this all over again. We lost our second flight, to Greece. I'm not ready to start this again, of getting off and having the airlines not wanting to help me, of being stranded, of not knowing what to do, of having to get a hotel. I'm not ready to do that again. And of course, I've been praying this whole trip, but I started praying, God, please grant us favor with someone at the airline to help us out. we get off the plane, and I'm ready to do battle again. Get off, and I'm envisioning a line of people at the gate because everybody's in the same boat, right? There was nobody at the gate where you deboard the plane. I mean, there was one employee, but there was no one standing in line. I went up to her and I said, this is a situation. We missed that flight. I need to get on the next flight. She said, we've already booked it for you. Something went right. I couldn't believe it, even though I'd prayed about it. Something went right. She said, here's your itinerary. This is just itinerary. It's not a boarding pass. You have to, and now you're going to be on Lufthansa to Munich and then Munich to Athens. So you need to go to Lufthansa and you need to stand at the kiosk or the desk between gates 16 and 17, B16, 17, to get your boarding passes printed. And so we head over there right away. And there were employees everywhere, but nobody at any of, there was I'm going to call it a kiosk, but it's a desk, a gate desk at B16 and one at B17 and one right between. So there was a man in front of us standing at that kiosk saying, excuse me, and the employees wouldn't even give him the time of day. And we stood behind him because we had questions too. And he finally got a hold of one of the ladies, and she said, we're not open yet. And he said, I understand that, ma'am, but I just need to know if I'm in the right place. That's all I need to know. Is this the right place to get our boarding passes printed for the flight to Munich? Yeah, but we're not open yet. She was very curt and unfriendly. And she said, go sit down. We don't open for 20 minutes. He said, respectfully, ma'am, if I sit down and then when you open, I will no longer be first in line. So I would rather just stand here. Thank you very much. And we stood behind him, and that line wrapped. It grew and grew and grew and wrapped around because we were all in the same boat. And I had paid extra to book seats to sit together with Turkish Air because you're not given seats next to each other unless you pay. Well, all that money's gone. And because we lost our flight with United when we were sitting together on there, now we're not sitting together again on an 8-hour flight. That's not very happy. And so, and I do want to say the man in line ahead of us was Ed. That will come up later. We're going to run into Ed again. So all the people in line behind us were the same situation. They lost their flight because of Chicago being delayed because of weather. Nobody's fault. So we waited and waited, and 20 minutes come and go. And we really got this vibe that the Lufthansa people didn't want to help us because we were standing in line instead of sitting down like good little citizens. So they finally come up and we got our boarding passes. I made sure my daughter sat. Ed didn't have such good luck. They were having loads of issues with getting him on his flight. So I gave my the luggage tags, I gave those to them to scan so they could see where, all our suitcases and all that were. And we get on the plane and oh my goodness, we booked economy. We already spent a lot of money on this trip. And so I assumed we were going to have regular economy seats like you get if you're flying, it within your own country. No. These seats were crammed together. On a jumbo jet for international flights, Lufthansa has their seats smushed together. I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, I am average height, and that seat was like this far away from my knees. It was very, if you were claustrophobic at all, I thought this is not a good way to spend 8 hours. But so the young man, again, I'm not sitting with my daughter. The young man seated, there was the young man on the aisle. I was in the middle, and there was a window seat, which was empty so far. And they'd said it was going to be a full flight. He turns to me and says, excuse me, are you traveling with anyone? And I said, well, my daughter, she's up there. And he said, well, since you can't sit together anyway, would it be okay if you traded with my girlfriend, she's way over there. And then she and I could sit together. He was very nice about it. And I just felt such compassion for this young man. I thought, we're all in this ship together, this plane together. We've all been rerouted and rerouted. Nobody is happy. Nobody is sitting with their loved ones. If I could make somebody have a better day, I'm going to do it. So I told my daughter I was trading, gave her the seat number, and I moved over there. Now I had an aisle seat. So the aisle seat gave me a little tiny bit more comfort, possibly. Then they served meals, and then immediately the person in front of me reclined his seat all the way. Now the person next to him reclined it like that much. You know, the guy in front of me, he went all the way back. The entire seat was smashed up against my knees. So I could not sit with my knees in front of me. I had to spread eagle my legs like this. But if I needed to switch position to try and sleep, it was just to get both my legs on one side or try and hike my knees up and slide over this. So for the rest of the flight, it was that way. Very uncomfortable. And I didn't recline my seat because I didn't want to do that to the same person behind me. So I did manage to get, I think, maybe 2 hours max of very fitful sleep. So you know I am really running on low sleep. This flight was to Munich. So we land in Munich, and then, you know, new airport, new language. You've got to figure out what to do. You've got to go customs, whatever. They call it passport check. Also, can I just say, air conditioning, Europe, air conditioning is a wonderful thing in airports. So it was hot, really hot. Now, clearly they had some air conditioning on, but we're talking, they probably had it at 78, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what they had it at. And then you had all those bodies in there. It was pretty miserable. We're looking at our watches because we have a connection, also Lufthansa, a connection to Athens. And this line, it snaked all over to go through the passport check. And still, you know, people would try to act like I'm not cutting in front of you. No, I'm just looking at the board up here. And then they would cut in front of you. We're only halfway through that line when they announce overhead that our next flight is boarding in 5 minutes. Oh dear. So we're like, can you do, seriously, can this really happen? I don't even know what time of day it was, Munich time or US time. I have no clue. You know, it's all a blur. And my daughter started saying, Mom, we're going to lose our flight. And I said, don't go there. We're going to take each step as it comes. There's nothing we can do. It's out of our hands. I don't want to be stuck in Munich having to get a hotel here too. I had no idea what I'm doing. We finally get through passport check, and we walk all the way to our gate to find out that they had delayed boarding by about 15 minutes. So we ended up boarding started 5 minutes after we got there. So that went well. Fortunately, we were going to get something to eat in the airport because my daughter was feeling it. She does get kind of sickish, you know, if she doesn't eat on time. So we didn't get anything to eat. We get on that plane and I see Ed from Chicago. He's 2 seats away from me. And so again, we're not seating together. We're not. And so a team of 3 men who were traveling together said to my daughter, would you mind trading seats so that we can sit together? And so she scooched over and let one of them have her seat. And we finally are coming around to Greece, and I could see the skyline, and it was like, finally, after many trials and tribulations, we have arrived, you know. So we come in, we land, we hit that runway, and it was like, finally it's over. And then the plane took right back up again. And I thought, of course, why not? Of course, why? This is our trip. So, I mean, I knew that we were just going to circle around and come back. The young man sitting next to me between Ed and me. The young man next to me was on the spectrum and agitated when we took back off, and he didn't speak English. And so I motioned like this, taking off and then turning around and coming back. And he goes, okay. He went like this and he motioned that we're turning back around. But he was very much agitated in doing this and rocking in his seat. And I just said, it's okay. It's okay. It'll be okay. So we finally landed. We get off, and I see Ed in the by the carousels. His luggage comes. Ours never did. I was like, of course, the final episode is, of course, our luggage didn't make it. So I had a checked a bag, she had checked a bag, and then we shared one carry-on. So we at least had a change of clothes, toothbrush, and that kind of thing. And we waited and waited and waited. One thing I love about the Athens airport, right above the carousel, it says when the last bag was loaded onto the carousel. So you know whether to keep waiting or not. We still waited an additional 10, 15 minutes, and Ed, even though he got his bags, waited with us and then walked with us to try and find out where to report lost luggage. So we managed to get over to the place where you do the lost luggage thing, and they have a big plexiglass, and again, English is a second language, of course. This is their country. And so I can't hear well, and I kept saying, what, and they don't understand me, and I don't understand them. And we finally get all this situated and get the report, and I realize we already lost one night at our Airbnb. We have an Airbnb in Athens, in the Plaka district, if you're familiar with Greece, and it's an apartment. So it's right above the restaurants. It's just chain of restaurants. We're right above them. So we finally get that squared away, and I realize they've got 2 nights to get our luggage to us. And then from then we'll be on tour in a different town every night. And if our luggage doesn't meet us in Athens, they're going to send our luggage back to Denver. So this was always in the back of our minds. So then I go to the cab. We go outside to get a cab. And this cabbie did not speak English. So I gave them the address. It was written, but it was written in English. It was, where this was, Magrikiani Street, in the Plaka district. He doesn't understand me. And then I had a thought, and that was to call the Airbnb, not the host, but the young woman who was going to actually let us into the Airbnb, because I was updating her all along where we were. And she spoke very good English. I was able to call her on WhatsApp and say, hey, can you talk to our cab driver? I handed him my phone. He understood what was going on. We get there. It's a 45-minute cab drive. We get there and he won't take credit card. Now, I know they are required to take credit card if they're going to transport you at the airport, but he wouldn't take it. And I'm not going to hassle with the guy. He got us here. I feel like just deal with it. I gave him what euros we had. I only had so many euros that I got at the airport. So gave him the majority of my euros and he left. We got into our apartment. We got everything checked in, how we're supposed to do. This is the routine, etc. We did everything we could. I didn't have pajamas. I didn't think about that. So we did everything we could. We got to bed 10 p.m. Athens time. On very little sleep, and we slept 12 hours, 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. And you know what? All the time I had been concerned about the time change, but the fact that I was running from mistake to mishap to all these trials and missed flights and and not really sleeping, I was already time adjusted by the time we got there. We got up at 10 a.m. And we said, well, I guess we better eat something. So we walk out of the apartment, in our apartment. This is finally the beautiful part of the trip, okay? And I'm going to start pictures right now. We walk out of our apartment, and the door is right between 2 outdoor restaurant seating areas. So we literally walked out, and there's people eating here and people eating here. We could grab their food. I mean, we could touch their food. We were that close. So we just said, well, let's eat here. We sat down, and this is my first plate of Greek food, a Greek salad with chicken. And I personally do love all the olive oil and the feta cheese and the Greek olives and the garden tomatoes and cucumbers and all that. I'm down for it. My daughter really enjoyed her meal. We did what we could. We went around and we actually each bought another shirt so we would have more clothing choices. And we had, so that was, by now it's Friday morning. So that late afternoon, early evening, my husband came in from Thessaloniki. And I kept updating and checking on the status of our luggage. Our luggage came at 10 a.m. on Saturday. So basically 36 hours or so, we got our luggage. Yay. So we spent Saturday together. Sunday, we had to check into the hotel that Gate 1 uses. And we started our tour and everything. So the way home was much, much better. Customs in Chicago was not fun. Again, Chicago, what up? What is up with your airport? Can I just say, O'Hare Airport, get your act together. Oh my goodness. One of the things that are really what's really lacking at O'Hare is signage. At Denver, you see big signs all over the place telling you this is the way to the gates, this is the way to baggage claim, this is the way to check in. There are itty-bitty signs, few and far between, at O'Hare International in Chicago. And sometimes there's one sign in this ginormous room, and you can't, haul and haul and haul of like all the different airlines where you check in, and you can't see how to get to the gates. There's one sign on the way far wall that you can't see where you're standing unless you step forward 20 feet and look underneath the overhanging decorations on the ceiling. Unbelievable. If you don't know the airport, you're going to have a hard time getting around. Yeah. And we landed in Chicago at the rush hour of international flights. So it was unbelievable trying to get through customs there. And yes, people trying to cut in line. And it was just very disorganized, chaotic. And it was a mess. So that's all I'm going to say. And then after going through customs, you have to recheck your bags. And then you have to, which that was really unbelievable. That line was backed out and was just, it was creating chaos in the airport because people couldn't get through because of the line to recheck bags. And then you have to go through security again. So not fun. So we made it home. My husband got to Denver like 6 p.m. and we landed at 10 p.m. From the airport. Once we were all together, all had our bags, we got on a shuttle to go get our car and drive home. So we got home. By the time everything was said and done, we got in bed at 1 a.m. the next day. So 1 a.m. Sunday, we got home, got in bed, and again, I'm so bad. I woke up at 6 a.m. A time adjusting when I got home was a little worse than going out, but it was more like a really bad daylight savings time adjustment. It took about a good week to really feel like I wasn't just sleepy all the time. So all in all, the trip itself, I'm going to say the travel there was bad. And it was so bad that I was dreading the trip home. I was dreading because it was going to be a 12-hour flight going from Athens to Chicago, skipping Munich. And I dreaded the seat up against my knees, and I shouldn't have worried because we were flying United now, and they had reasonably spaced seats. It was more like a standard aircraft in that, the seats were not great, but it wasn't smashed against my knees. And they said, this is a fully booked flight, da-da-da-da-da. So I remembered that, like, okay, we're going to be crowded. Well, it turns out there was nobody in the seat in front of me. So somebody didn't make their flight. And I had to pay again for us to sit together. Anyway, there was nobody in front of me. So nobody reclined their seat into my legs. It was like, thank you, God. And after about an hour into the flight, I realized there was nobody behind me either. So on this huge flight, everywhere I look, every seat is taken except for the seat in front of me, so no one's going to recline into my knees, and the seat behind me, so I could recline my seat. I just grinned and said, that was what we call a God wink, you know, where God is giving you a little wink there. Thank you, Lord, for the for the extra space. So that flight was much more comfortable. And then at partway in the flight, after I'd gotten a nap, we traded seats so she could try to recline. And then something happened, like they turned the lights back up to start serving meals. She never really did sleep. I don't know about how do you sleep on flights. My husband, his flight home, his whole travel day was 27 hours from the time he left the hotel in Athens to the time that he got home in bed, and he hadn't slept any. He couldn't sleep. So there's a benefit to starting your international flight at night, but the fact that his started in the morning, he, you know, Athens time, he couldn't sleep. So Athens is beautiful, love the food, definitely hot, but we were told that normally it's hotter than even that. So we did well. We tried to bring, you know, a lot of comfortable shoes, good walking shoes. Do not bring flip-flops and shoes that are not well secured to your feet, because all of the ruins are very uneven. They're not handicap accessible. A lot of them are made with the original marble steps. You can imagine marble steps, very slick, plus people walking on them for thousands of years. Very, very slick. So you do want to have good walking shoes. Bring your hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, and plenty of water. So we're glad we went. I think we learned a lot of, let's just say it was real. Our experience on the way out there was real life. I wasn't ready to accept any more real life. And I'm telling you, on the way out there, when people would say, oh, by the time you get there, you're going to have so much fun, you're going to forget all about this. And I just felt like saying, shut up. Because no amount of nice Greece travel is going to make up for any of this. You know, it really felt like PTSD, but we did have a good time. So thank you for watching, and make sure you head over to my main channel, which is my craft tutorial channel. Sorry this was so long, but it's been forever since we've done a Lolly Life video.